Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Dustin and Scott from Glassine to the podcast. Glassine released From the Other Side of the Mirror back in April on Pelagic Records. Glassine has been one of my favorite bands over the last few years. I discovered Twin Dream and was blown away and have been a big fan ever since. The guys talk about the early days of the band, the meaning behind the name, how Dustin became the vocalist, the hell weeks that were the writing and recording process of the new album, the themes behind the album, and more. If you aren't already a fan of this band, I hope this interview makes you one. Thanks so much for checking out this episode of As the Story Grows. I appreciate it. If you're new to the show, welcome and thanks for checking out this episode. You can find links in the show notes or at asthestorygrows.com to the podcast community on our Discord server. You can sign up for the mailing list over on Substack or support the show financially and get early access to every episode via Patreon. Enjoy today's chat with Glassine. Are you originally from the greater Austin suburbs, or did you guys like migrate that way?
Well, Dustin likes to claim that I'm born and raised in Austin.
Yeah,
That's not true.
Because it's the truth.
No,
it's the literal truth. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm sort of from Austin, but not really. I moved there when I was 11 from Chicago, so that's kind of legit. Not really. Corey's from the Bayou.
Okay.
He's from Louisiana, New
Where all
Orleans.
his riffs come from too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Dustin's from San Antonio.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I was born in Sacramento.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So Austin was just like migrated there over time.
My parents were in the military.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we just like ran into each other at shows with,
Yeah.
We're there. And we were just like, oh, I guess we're at shows. And now we're hanging out. Crazy.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, Austin seems like the hip place to be in Texas, right? Like,
for Texas, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's the only place I would ever live in Texas.
Yeah, it's for Texas, it's good.
Yeah.
I don't live there anymore, and Dustin's about to move. That's how good it is. Yeah, I live in San Diego now. It's way better.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
You hear all the stories about people leaving California to migrate to Texas. You're the opposite. You're like,
I was like, we're done with this Texas thing.
Yeah. Fortunately, it had a good run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. As an outsider, I just watch places like Texas and Florida, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh man, I was just like in like Europe doing stuff, and people were talking. I was in like the UK, and somebody was like I was talking to somebody like, dude, Florida is fucked up. And I was like, I'm in the UK. We're talking about how fucked up Florida is. I was like, damn, everyone knows.
Everyone knows.
Everyone knows. Yeah. And I was like, damn.
Yeah. I was just talking to a dude from Finland like last week, and he was like, yeah, I'm worried about your country. And I was like, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
You're not alone. Thank you.
Yeah, they say that in Canada too.
Yeah.
Like, how about all those school shootings and like, that you don't have health care? And we're like, yeah, we know.
Yep. It's great. Greatest country.
Badass.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. What got each of you into music?
I don't know. My mom listened to a bunch of shit. She would listen to a lot of music growing up. My dad likes like everything that dads like Led Zeppelin, AC/DC and stuff, Black Sabbath, that kind of thing. And then my sister, though, she showed me a lot of stuff when I was younger, like the Dead Kennedys and like Mudvayne and like Linkin Park and stuff when I was like 10.
Yeah.
And and I just kind of take it from there with MySpace.
Yeah.
My parents were musicians,
Nice.
so
Dang, that's sick.
They had like guitars laying around the house and shit, and one day I just picked one up.
Nice.
It really is just nurture over nature all the time.
Yeah.
So the guitar was laying around, picked it up. It could have been a harp. I'd probably be a harp player today.
Do you then play bass now, just kind of out of need?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Corey and I first met, he was like, I need a bassist. So I was like, I can do that. I didn't really know how to play bass at the time. And then I would say that my entire time being in glassing has kind of like, it's just been like an instructional learning process for what works on bass guitar and what doesn't, and what how bass kind of like contributes to the song. It's cool when you take when you pick up another instrument, you kind of like learn different things that it offers. Scott probably knows that too. He has a project where he plays guitar.
Nice.
Yeah, it's cool playing different instruments. Drumming's like for me the raddest thing, but like I mess around with guitar and bass and stuff, and it's just totally, you're like, oh, this is how you could write a song, or different ways to write songs. You
learn like really weird things. You're like, oh, like this type of drum beat will like give me something like this type of feel. So like,
it's a weird one.
Yeah. One thing I learned is kind of like, and I don't know how like exactly applicable this is, but like, I don't know if it's like musical truth or dogma or anything, but the bass usually carries the key, or like the note, how like the song is kind of composed by root notes. So like whatever note the bass is playing is like the root note of the segment.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Scott, what led you to pick up drums?
Dude, the amen break. That was it. Do bop bop do bop do bop bop do. I was like, dang, that's so sick. Right before I kind of like got into that, I was like I was starting to be really into like skateboarding, and I was getting like, okay, I could kind of like hop a curb, but then I was just like, I lived on there was like a big hill, and I was just trying to like go down this big hill, and I started wobbling, and then I kicked out, and my board went down a storm drain, and then I couldn't fit in the storm drain, and then a few months later I started playing drums.
Nice.
And I feel like it was just like, oh, I was totally on a path, and then like it all went away, and I was like, oh, I got drums now. This is what I'm gonna do. Like I was like, this is my thing now.
Yeah.
And then it just was like my thing. But yeah, I mean, like the amen break, like you hear that beat and you're like, oh, sick. It's like the basis of everything cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Glassy and how this band gets started.
That's you, bud.
I was walking into a bar one day, and and Corey was leaving the bar, and he was drunk. And he was like, hey, dude, what's up? We had met each other like while my other band was on tour. He like let us stay at his house like years ago. And then he had just moved to Austin, and he was starting a band, and he needed a bass player. And so I told me it was a metal band, and I was like, cool. I've always wanted to play in a metal band, but I just have never gotten the opportunity. But I've always like really loved metal. So I start just going over his house, and he had like a lot of kind of riffs and songs and stuff. I borrowed a bass guitar from my dad, which I actually just ended up stealing and then pawning. but it did the trick for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until I got my actual bass guitar.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just ended up playing shows, and then shortly after we met Jason Camacho, who was our previous drummer, and we played with him for a while, and then up until just recently we got Scott. And yeah, we just been writing music and doing band stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like a fan. And then we just turned into friends. Like I was at y'all's show, the ABA Fest, like a house show, like in 2015, and then I was like, oh, this band is sick. And then whenever I like a band, especially a local band, then I would just be like, I'm going to all your shows. You're gonna know who I am. We're gonna be friends. That's how this is gonna be. And then yeah, so we've just been homies like a long time.
Yeah.
And then I was just like getting lunch. I mean, shit, what is that? Almost like 10 years. And then like I was just like getting lunch, and then Dustin called, was like, yo, can you like play drums and glassing? And I was like, sure, yeah. Yeah, why not? And then here we are. Crazy.
Weird.
Nice.
Super casual stuff. I slept on that couch right behind Dustin. I was sleeping on that couch yesterday.
Yeah.
Nice.
He was over there.
Where's home? Yeah.
If you had called yesterday, you would have gotten all three of us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because we were just fucking packing merch and stuff and doing band inventory.
Yeah. Yeah. Was the like kind of initial, I don't know, catalyst for the sound of the band just coming from Corey's riffs and what he was writing, or was there ever a discussion into like, you know, adding this melodic side, or I don't even know how you would describe what your sound is like?
Corey's guitar playing when that first day I went over to hear his riffs for the first time was like extremely metal, like very much like Russian Circles, Pelican. Those two were pretty big influences.
Okay.
I always knew that he could do like the post rock ambient stuff, because I knew he had solo projects in the past that my band had played with, my other band. So I knew he had that like explosions in the sky, like This Will Destroy You post rock side to him. But the very first time we jammed, it was very like kind of like dumb guy metal stuff. Well, not dumb guy metal. I don't know. Russian Circles and Pelican is not dumb guy metal to me, but it was very metal. Like,
yeah,
it was very metal.
Right.
We call it whenever anything gets like relatively heavy, we just kind of default to like calling it like dumb guy metal. But it's
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Pelican, but yeah,
Pelican's awesome. They're
some of the most basic like heavy.
Yeah, like they're heavy. They have riffs. They're like riff machines, and like they're probably one of our like top 3 biggest influences. We actually got to play a few shows with them on not our last tour, but the tour before that. Yeah, that was a highlight, definitely. Like meeting those.
They're all so nice. They're all so cool.
Yeah, they have a lot of really great energy when you meet them for the first time. You're just like, man, I can tell these people are they're like super professional, and they're just like outstanding guys. Really cool.
Nice. Where'd the band name come from?
We pulled that from a Planes Mistaken for Stars song. Corey's a huge fan of that band. I don't really listen to him all that much, but he's showed me a few times, and he's a huge fan of those guys. They were really important to him when he was growing up. And one day we were trying to figure out what our band was going to be called, and he was like, how about we call it Glassing? And I was like, that's cool name.
Yeah.
Cool enough name, I guess. Band names are hard, like, yeah. You pick it and then you're stuck with it.
Right.
Okay, change, like bands that have to change their name. I'm always just like, fuck, dude, that sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, I learned that in the UK glassing is to break a bottle and stab somebody with a bottle.
Yeah, it has a whole other meaning overseas.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in hunting, it means to look like down the barrel and you didn't shoot anything. You're just glassing. And I don't know what Planes Mistaken for Stars thought glassing meant, but I just looked that up because I was a fan first, so I was just like, what is this name?
It also means like to like cover an area with like napalm. Just glassing something.
Jeez,
so brutal.
I know, it's just like weird. You're like punching someone, you're stabbing someone, or you're burning someone. That's what our name means.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's perfect for the band sonically, right?
Sure.
Dustin, did you always know you could like scream when you joined? You said you always wanted to do like a metal band. Did you know you had that in you?
No, I actually joined glassing to not do stuff like that. I was in another band. I was like in a math rock band for like many years, and I was the guitar player and vocalist, and it was just really hard to do both those things all the time, especially with a genre like math rock. Not really sure why I decided to go with that, but by the time I met Corey, I was like, man, it would really be cool if I just like joined a band and just chilled out on the bass, no other responsibilities. So we started that way. I was just playing bass, and then we got a lead singer. Lead singer left. And we had a few tryouts, and they were all like annoying to work with. Lead singers are annoying people.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Just fucking are. I'm sorry. Myself included.
Damn, that's true though.
That's the truth.
That's just the truth.
So one day, like me and Camacho and Corey were like sitting in our practice space and drinking like tequila. We were like fucking hammered. You'll start to see like this is a common theme in our decision making. It's the fact that we were drunk when we do it. I just like set the mic up and tried to scream, and it sounded okay. I was really at the time I was really like kind of trying to basically imitate Liturgy the way they scream. I could never really get it to be the same way, because I just think like I kind of had I don't know, the band's different, so that makes it so the lyrics kind of or the vocals have to be kind of different, you know. It was like a good starting point. I just tried to like imitate the lead singer. So I saw see like videos of them doing it and stuff, and it was I was like, oh, you don't really have to like scream, because like they were like they were like effortlessly doing it, and I was like, that kind of like it. Once I saw it, how someone was doing it, it like clicked in my head. I was like, oh, you can just push from like your stomach, and you don't have to like fuck your throat up and stuff. It's like hard. It's hard to describe to people though. Yeah.
How'd the band end up with Brutal Panda?
Bob and Mike came out to a show that we played, and we like just met. I think we met through either the band Boyfriends, or from Jeremy from This Will Destroy You. Either one of those two introduced us to Bob, and then Mike, rest in peace, flew out to go see us, and we talked about like a potential like beginning with those guys, and it was great working with them. Nice. Bob is one of our close homies, and Mike was pretty crucial for the band. Mike did all the. Mike was responsible for like very, very pivotal. Crucial moment. Pivotal. It's pivotal, right?
Yeah. You nailed it. Yeah. You nailed it.
Mike was responsible for a lot of pivotal moments in our band growth. Like, I'm pretty sure I can't be certain of this, but I'm pretty sure Mike was the one who like initiated the whole like idea to like sign us to Brutal Panda. So he would have probably I guess, quote unquote, discovered us. And then, he would help us out with all kinds of cool shit. He was a great guy.
Twin Dream was the record I discovered the band on. I mean, that shit blew me away. Talk to me about the kind of writing, recording process over like a pandemic.
That shit was hard.
Yeah.
It was really weird. We didn't really know what was going on. And we all got furloughed from our jobs because we all worked in the service industry, except for Corey. We all got furloughed, and then we were just like at home doing nothing. And then we were writing the moment that they said that it was okay to like go out. And like we were doing like the 6 feet rule. And then even in the studio, we had like masks and we were like in separate rooms and stuff. So that was like stressful.
Yeah.
Then we just like knocked it out. It gave us a little bit of time to like think about the composition of the album and like the songs and stuff, which I think was probably an important role in shaping how that record sounds. That was a difficult process.
Yeah, I'm sure. What then leads you guys out of Twin Dream onto Pelagic and this new record? And like, talk to me about the difference of like working with the European label.
Pelagic's been great. They're awesome. They're really, really professional, really on top of it, and just kind of like Robin's a really great guy.
Yeah.
We haven't met in person, but we've talked a few times. We're planning on meeting them pretty soon here for like a little European jump that we're about to do. And then the new album. This was the first record we did with Scott.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, we did like an EP.
Yeah.
The first full length. And it's definitely got a different feel to it.
Yep.
Rocking through with a whole fresh new take on how to write a glassing song.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you do the EP kind of as like 2 songs, like testing the dynamic and working together?
I think so. Yeah.
Man, my sort of take on it is like, so I was asked to just fill in for this record release show, kind of thinking like Camacho would come back. Camacho wasn't able to make it. And then I was like, okay, well, then we had like some other show offer, and I was like, sure, I'll do that show. And then we're at practicing for that show, and it's like, hey, well, I got this riff. And I was like, that's it. I was like, that's cool. I think that was probably Sulk. And then I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. And then I was like, we just kept on showing up every week and jamming. And then like early 2022, I was like, hey, I'm moving to California. So I don't know what you guys want to do about that. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll just, it's fine. You can just move. So right before I moved, we recorded those 2 songs. And then I moved like a few days later. And then we did a tour or something. I think the first song, then it was like the beginning of like how we wrote this record, which maybe you've seen. We've been calling it like Hell Week because it was pretty gnarly. I was like living in Los Angeles, and then I would fly in, play a show. I'd be in town for a week. We'd have no ideas or like a riff, and just try to make whatever we could in 5 days. basically, because we recorded. It was pretty chaotic, really. In retrospect, it was chaotic at the time too. But it was like I get in on like Saturday or something, and we record on like Friday or Saturday the following week. I just recorded whatever we wrote that week. And we just practiced every single day, and it was brutal. But we did that like 6 times, over the course of a year or so.
Yeah,
and we'd call them Hell Weeks because it was just like. It's totally different from any other songwriting process either of us have ever done. Where it was like, we had to be like the most creative, the most like on top of our shit every day for like 5-6 days, and just like I don't know, it's brutal. Whereas like I don't know, other songwriting, you're like, oh, I worked on this song for 4 months. This is like we worked on it for 5 days, and it was like, here it is.
It's a very intense 5 days, though. It's
like, I mean, each song still had like 5 or 6 different versions. I mean, we it's not like we didn't like put in the work. We just put in the work like here in this amount of time as opposed to this amount of time.
It's a good way to like not. Like, so like one of the things that kind of is difficult about songwriting when you have all this time to do it is that you don't like not setting like deadlines for yourself is kind of, you're like opening the door for like extra criticism. Maybe sometimes it's good.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not, cause like, I think was it Miles Davis that did that album where he just like brought everybody in and the first take was like the take, like, because he didn't want people over analyzing their parts. So that's it's kind of done in the same way, except we're not like jazz musicians. So I don't know that we could do that. But,
similar
kind of thing where it's like, okay, write this thing and you have 5 days to kind of like determine if it's worth a shit.
Yeah.
So it's just like we would go to practice and then we would write all day. We would record it. We'd go home and like
just listen to it.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll get high or something and listen. That is also another thing. That's like a cool way to speed up that process, is to like write something sober and then like get high later and listen to it. Because you're like listening to it and like with like fresh ears, like a whole different person's perspective.
Sure.
But we would do that and then just kind of like keep going, keep trying to focus on 1 or 2 songs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting take. Like you listen to old stories from like early 90s or whatever, and it's like, they recorded and mixed the album in 5 days because that's what the budget allowed. And now with technology, it's like we spent 6 months on each song, and it's like it's so long. Right?
Make it better.
Right. Yeah.
It's something that I think we learned. You don't give yourself enough time. That's one thing, but too much time can also like ruin something.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, we had to write like that because of the circumstance of me living in Los Angeles, but, I don't know, this is their 4th record. They're real musicians. I was coming into it as like the new guy trying to like continue their discography. Mm-hmm. I was just trying to do their thing, but I am in it, so I there's a flavor. But I play drums. I've been playing in a million bands for a long time, so I think I don't know that if I was younger and less experienced, I could pull off writing 2 or 3 songs in a week, and they're good. They're actually good, and then recording them and being like cool with that whole process. I was like, I think like I don't know that we could have pulled this off. Maybe for you guys, like 2 records back. I don't know if Spotted Horse could have been written like this. Like
Spotted Horse had a whole different approach. We like isolated ourselves at a ranch for like for a little while and wrote that way.
No.
And the road that the ranch was on was called Spotted Horse. That's why we named it that.
Nice.
Yeah, probably not. Not the same.
Yeah, I just think our, like, I don't know, to give us a little credit, like, I was like, I think because we're not too bad, we're not bad anymore. So I was like, we could pull this off. But we just got
professionalism there.
Yeah, we just got there. Yeah, we just got there, and I was like,
barely.
yeah.
Album's called From the Other Side of the Mirror. Where'd that title come from, and kind of what was your thought process in writing like the lyrical themes and concepts on this album?
Before that, first, these are my favorite. These are my favorite Glassing lyrics as a fan. First favorite Glassing lyrics they've ever done. Anyway, Dustin.
Oh, I didn't know you thought that way, Scott. Thank you.
Yeah, I read the lyrics. Anyway,
I read the lyrics.
Put a quote around that.
Contrary to popular belief. It is very rare to find a drummer that reads the lyrics. I will say.
Right here, bud.
This is one of them. A lot of the vocals were kind of I was writing a lot of songs about kind of personal relationships I had with people in my life. So there's like a big interpersonal thread that connects each song. And it was also like most of it was kind of introspective, where in which I would kind of imagine another person's interpretation of me and my actions through their perspective. So I would try to understand what they might have been feeling. So yeah, the whole introspective aspect is very like by proxy. So all the songs kind of started shaping into just like these like narratives from another person's perspective. So I saw that as like kind of a common theme, and felt that the title was appropriate for that. But yeah, that's
a fun like writing challenge or experiment like to go through.
It's pretty well, my whole idea on this one was I am gradually trying to become more and more vulnerable with my lyrics. A lot of the time a lot of my lyrics are abstract, both for creative purposes and for personal reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you kind of are talking about interpersonal scenarios and you start kind of getting rid of that abstraction, you realize that there's like vulnerability and honesty underneath it. So in order to be vulnerable, you have to kind of like be clear with your message. So that's what I really wanted to go into the record with. And then I realized that when I was doing that, the only way I could talk about like, or be vulnerable is to approach it in like an interpersonal level, like
mm-hmm.
You're pretty much determined. Your character is determined by your actions. So like reflecting on those types of relationships was like very, I was like raw. It didn't feel fucking good, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, cause you have to sometimes kind of like look at yourself in a really honest way, and you're like doing it for the sake of the artistic merit.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's still a way for fans to read the lyrics that's abstract and artistic and poetic, all the same.
Yeah. I didn't want to like go too direct, because then the art kind of takes a different form. I know that there's a lot of bands that do stuff like that, and that's really cool. pretty brave maneuver to write about your experiences directly like that.
Yeah. Chris King did the album artwork again for this one. Really, again, just elevated on the artwork. Did you guys give him a concept that you were looking for?
No. What happened was, I think he was trying out this concept using like the Unreal Engine and like a few different softwares, and he was just putting up pictures on his Instagram, like stories and stuff. And I remember seeing one and being like, "This is cool." I love like the direction. It was very like The Cell, I guess. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah.
It's my girl J-Lo. She actually crushes in that movie. She's great.
She's from the Bronx.
She's definitely from the Bronx. Dude, she's getting clowned on right now for talking about how often she mentions she's from the Bronx. All TikTok is like shitting on her for it. Anyway,
Jenny from the block.
Yeah,
dude, sick.
Let's see so he would put up these like test things and stuff, and I saw one, and I was kind of messing with the theme and like the title around that time, and I kind of personally before I had brought it up to Corey and Scott, I was like, I remember hearing the phrase "from the other side of the mirror," and I was like, man, I really like that. That's pretty representative of what all these lyrics are and what these songs represent thematically. And then Chris puts up this like icy looking mirror world that looks like The Cell. And I'm like, it was just perfect timing. It was like the moment I saw the picture, I was like, that's it. But he, the picture that we saw, he modified to be what the album is now.
Gotcha.
So he changed it a little bit and then expanded on the idea. We like told him at the time, like we're really into the fact that it looks vast and bleak and like, just nothingness. Like there's a void out there, and inside there's like what's like warmer than a pure void is just like icy mirror statues and stuff everywhere. And he built that whole world out to kind of encapsulate the theme of the record, and he crushed it. It looks so cool.
Album's out now. You have a couple of California shows in June, and then going to the UK in August. What's this year look like?
I think we're still working it out. I think we were just I think yesterday we were just talking about like, let's get trying to figure out stuff for fall. But yeah, we were just able to get like a California thing and then a little Europe tour with festivals. But like Arctangent is kind of like, we're like, oh shoot, that's like so rad.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big one for us. So we're like, wow. But yeah, so far that's what we're doing.
Yeah. It seems like post-COVID touring is still weird for mid to smaller size bands. It's just like that mid to small size venue doesn't exist anymore. Like,
sure.
People have had to get creative of where to have shows again.
Yeah.
Back to VFW halls and shit.
Oh God.
We played a VFW hall.
Yeah. We played that Massapequa one, and that was something else.
It was in Long Island.
Yeah.
Oh man.
With who did we play that with?
Dreamwell.
Dreamwell. Yeah, very cool band.
No.
And
Sunflower, I think.
no,
They were later.
Lesser Glow.
Lesser Glow. That's right.
Was on it, yeah.
Yeah.
Both really cool bands.
Yeah. That's our last VFW show.
It was rough.
Yeah, it was weird. It was fine though.
Yeah, we'll probably all have rose-colored glasses on the VFW scene for back in the day. It's like it's probably not very good for bands or actual quality of show.
Yeah, it's fine. It's good.
Yeah.
It's great.
It was good.
Yeah.